What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing today? I am Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. You guys may know me or my voice, depending on whether you watch or listen. And I just want to talk to you guys real quick. So, many of you may know if you've listened to the show, watched the show before. I've been dealing with my weight for a long time. I always grew up pretty thin, pretty in shape, played a lot of sports, things like that. And then after an accident years ago, I started putting on weight and it kind of got out of control. And like, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'8", and it hits hard, got a big belly, always trying to get rid of it. But never, I tried every diet, go to the gym, do what I got to do. But it just always seems to keep coming back. My weight keeps going back and forth, back and forth. Well, I have been trying something new, and actually, it's caused me to want to partner with them as well. I've been working on Noom, and so far, I've dropped about 10 pounds, and I'm feeling pretty good, and it's been helping quite a bit. And the reason being is Noom is very different. It's not really a diet. It helps you out. Like they're not going to tell you, these foods are good, these foods are bad. Instead, they want to like give you knowledge and wisdom to help you make informed decisions about it. One thing, a couple of things I've actually been finding out is like I grew up with depression era grandparents who really were involved in our lives. You had to finish your plate. That's just kind of how it was. And I've still, even to this day, was always just finishing my plate. And like, no food goes to waste. Like, we got to do this. And, kind of always a philosophy of mine. And I never understood why. And another one was whenever I'm sitting in front of the TV, I always feel like I have to snack. And it always came back to haunt me because I would just keep snacking and snacking. Well, with Noom, it helps you figure this stuff out and kind of work on it and change those habits and really just kind of change things up for the better so that way it can help you change your lifestyle and hopefully lose some weight and get healthier and look better and feel better. They have daily lessons, personal coaching sessions and support groups, tracking systems, which are really good, really helpful for me. I know tracking things is a big part of what I'm doing. And like I said, they aren't attacking food. They're not telling you this is good, this is bad, don't eat it, don't eat this, don't do that, eat this instead. They want you to really change the lifestyle within the things but they want you to be happy doing it. So if you guys are interested, you should check out Noom. We are partnered with them now here on the Scene Snobs. You can go to thescenesnobs.com or our link tree or in the descriptions below. Make sure you check them out. Our affiliate link is there. Take the quiz, see what you got, and nothing's, you don't have to sign up if you don't want to, but you can just check it out and see if you like it. I will tell you, I am enjoying it. Has changed a lot of things for me. But yeah, so go check out Noom now. Again, partnered with the Scene Snobs. Check out our affiliate link on the site and let us know what you think. All right, everybody, let's start the show.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
So, guys, what is up? All right. If you know me, I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snobs. Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast. This is a very special episode. Normally, I have my partner in crime, Casey, the madman, with me, but he is fast asleep tonight because I am up. I am suffering through a kidney stone. If anybody knows or has listened to the show in the past, I suffer through them. I have had what's called a staghorn stone last year that they had to have operated on. And so I just kind of suffer through kidney stones every once in a while, and that kind of keeps me up and keeps me going and awake. So tonight, I was just kind of laying in bed, hopefully trying to fall asleep, and it wasn't happening. And you know what happens when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're awake and you don't know what you want to do or how you're going to get to sleep or hey, you're not even going to feel any pain right now. So I start thinking about movies. The self-doubt kicks in and you start doubting all of these little things over and over again. I'm sure we all do it, especially this late at night. And you're like, oh man, what have I done? What am I doing here? What's happening here? It gets to this point where you're just kind of, all right, what am I doing now? Now I just feel like I'm doubting myself over and over again. And I started, so to get out of that, one big thing for me has always been to talk about movies, think about movies, watch movies, always kind of helps. So for me right now, I was sitting in bed, just kind of suffering through, and I started thinking, I was like, it'd be kind of cool to do an episode where I talk about, like maybe my top 10 movies, that are most meaningful to me. Maybe tell the stories behind them. Because above all else in this podcast, we really love it to be about movies and the things we love. So we're kind of, going through, hey, what's going on, Radar? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, Insomniacs Unite, man. Tell me about it for sure. So I figured what I'd do is I made out my list of my 10 most meaningful movies, and I'll talk about the stories behind them. Now, it may get deep, but don't ever feel anything other than that. Like, it's just, I'm not trying to get there like, wow, it's so morose or anything like that. These are good movies that I still watch today that I love, no matter what it is behind them. But I want to go through them with you and talk about them with you. And listen, in your comments, make sure you're leaving it along. If you're listening to this at a later time, I'd love to hear from it. Or join our Discord and let's talk about it there. I'm going to post my movies up. I'm going to post the movie list up there. And you guys can join in and we can all talk about it and have a good time. So the Discord link is in the description below. Or you can go over to thescenesnobs.com or our link tree. All right. So number 10. Now, this one is a big one for me, mostly because of the story. Now, I've seen this movie tons and tons and tons of times. Oh, before I start, hold on. Sasha's here. Sorry to hear it. Marie's procedure has me up and awake with a headache from hell. I'm sorry, Sasha. Go check out Sasha, the Princess Darkness. She is great with her movie reviews and such. And check out her channel. Make sure to subscribe over there. I just wanted to give you that plug while I'm doing this. Okay, so number 10 on my most meaningful movies list. Now, here's why. So it's Die Hard. So when we were growing up, so I swear to God, when you think back at it, you're thinking of it from a kid's eyes. We had this 2-bedroom apartment that we were living in. There's 6 of us in there. Me, my brothers, my sister, and my parents. So we go in and my parents every Saturday night would go and rent movies. The kids would watch like a movie, one of the movies we wanted to rent. And normally it was like my brothers got the pick. We didn't really get the pick because they were the older ones. And then my parents would rent a movie, like whatever was new, like the new release coming out. And I remember they rented Die Hard. They would always do that. They'd rent like maybe thrillers or action movies, stuff like that kids couldn't watch. So they would shuffle us into the 1 bedroom. We would all be sleeping, and they would go in, but we wouldn't really be sleeping. What we'd be doing is we would just be sitting there like, well, I wonder what this movie's about. And my brothers always decided like Mike should try and figure it out, what it's all about. So how our apartment was set up was one side there was the living room. And then you had the dining room. You go through the archway, and then there's the dining room. We had this long table of like 6 chairs. But again, like it's when you think back from the childhood perspective, it seems like the table was like the one in Batman in 1989, where they were all the way at either end. But it wasn't. But it was a long table for 6 people. And then you went down the hallway, my parents' room, our room, the kitchen. So what they said was they told me I should sneak out and go see what they're watching and report back like whatever I see. So I'm army crawling through the hallway, sneak out the door, army crawling through the doorway. Then I go into the dining room and I like skip off to the side underneath the table. Because again, it was a big table. I was a little kid. And I could kind of make out what was going on. It was, I don't know, serendipitous or whatever, but I was under that table at the same time that the character was shot in the head while McClane was under the table. And when I saw that, I'm 6 years old, 7 years old when I'm watching this movie, and I see him get shot and you see the blood splatter. I hit the table. Only difference is my father knew somebody was under the table and he screams out to me, "Get your ass back to bed." And that's just always stuck with me. It's always been like, that was a fun memory. I'd run back into the room. My brothers and I were all joking, giggling, and laughing. And I just told him, I was like, I just saw somebody get shot, you know. And is that a deep, meaningful memory? No, but it was a good memory. My brothers and I still kind of bask in it and laugh about it. My sister as well. So it was something that kind of lasted the time. And Die Hard's such a great movie. It had to be on the list. So the next movie, number 9, is one that is very near and dear to my heart. I actually just watched it a couple of weeks ago with my wife, and she's seen it a few times since then. It's Digstown from 1992. It's a boxing movie. It's like a con artist boxing movie starring James Woods, Louis Gossett Jr., Oliver Platt, Bruce Dern, Heather Graham. Tons of people are in this movie. And I love this movie. This is one of my favorites. And I think where it really stuck with me was when I was a kid, I think it was about 10 or 11 when it came out. By that time, our Saturday nights were spent at my grandparents' house. And we would go there every Saturday, like at that point. And all my aunts and uncles were there. My parents would be playing cards or board games with them at the table. And like, we would just kind of be hanging out. And my brothers weren't there, but my sister would be there, stuff like that. So they had cable. They were like one of the only ones that really had cable. We had it, we didn't have it, poor, not poor, whatever is at the moment. Well, for some reason, Digstown played a lot at that time on, I think it was either HBO or Showtime or something like that. But it played a lot at that time. And I remember loving this movie and watching it over and over and over again. And it became endearing to me. But it's not so much maybe not a meaningful memory, but like I just have that when I watch it, I get that same feeling I got like when I was a kid watching it at my grandparents' house. So that was a big one for me. I always loved that. And even watching with my wife the other day, it was like 2 weeks ago, watching with her, we were having a good time and joking and laughing. And, she really likes the movie as well. And we've seen it a few times since then, but I was like, it just makes you feel cozy. I don't know what that is. For me, it's one of those cozy feeling movies. Just reminds me of childhood. Next up, very near and dear to my heart, The Dark Knight, one of the best movies of all time, especially comic book wise, still holds up to this day. I can't even believe it's been like 14 years since it came out. It's crazy to me that it's been that long. And it's actually what kind of got this whole list kicked off. The reason being, I was thinking about a friend of mine. He was like a good friend of mine from back in the day. And I lost touch with him years ago. And I was thinking of him. I knew, he does a lot of work. He does movie trivia, Schmodown, stuff like that. And, I was so happy to see how well he was doing. But it got me thinking to back in the day when he and I would do brackets together. And we'd put movies down on brackets and we'd always we'd get really into it. And we just always have a lot of fun with it. And so I thought about the comic book movie bracket we did years ago. Now I'm talking the newest movie on this was like Iron Man and Dark Knight. And we made the Dark Knight automatic winner. So it came down to Batman 89 and Iron Man to see who would win. And Batman 89 actually won that. We actually had to watch both those movies before we picked the number 2 spot because we could not decide. So it was just a fun memory, and it was cool because it kind of kicked off this whole thing. And, it was nice. All right. So next up on the list would be number 7, and that's Full Metal Jacket. All right. Why Full Metal Jacket? Full Metal Jacket is a movie I hadn't seen until I was 18, 19, maybe. And it was one of those movies. So I had seen it for the first time with my brother. My brother he joined the Marines in, I think it was 2000. It was either 2000 or 2001. It's been years now. He joined the Marines, and I remember he was my oldest brother. He's about 6 years older than me. And growing up, we were never really close. Like we were, but we weren't. Like he was so much older. Like it was just kind of like one of those things where don't worry, Radar. I'm not going to ruin it for you. And Sasha says, The Dark Knight is one of the rarest PSP video UMDs currently in my collection. Which one do you have? Like, is it just like the rare version of it? I might be lost on that one, but I'm a little thick in the head, so. But so with Full Metal Jacket, how that kind of came to be is we were never really that close, and then like we started getting a little bit closer right before he left for boot camp, and he wrote me, while I was in boot camp. And then when he came back, he really wanted to spend some time with me. I think it kind of put him into a new perspective of wanting to hang out with his little brother. And he was like, I really want to watch this movie with you. And I don't think he had seen it yet either, or he might have. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But it was Full Metal Jacket. He's like, I really want to watch this with you because it's made by Stanley Kubrick, and we watched this movie almost every time we got together for years. We would watch Full Metal Jacket. Now, it did not have the same effect for me that it did for him. He had more of the marine side. I had more of the filmmaking side, because I always wanted to be a filmmaker. So I was always like working on it and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things. Like it meant so much to him, still means so much to him. He met Arlie Ermy when he was stationed down in Quantico. And he got his autograph on his cover, and and he would tell me about it. He's like, yeah, I met him. And, just because we connected on this movie so well. And what led to it is it still goes strong. So I live here in Winchester, Virginia. We have an Alamo Draft House, and they were doing a Matthew Modine weekend. This is in 2019, October 2019, when we first just kind of kicked off the Scene Snobs. And Matthew Modine was here, and he was like kind of just spending the weekends, introducing his movies, doing Q&As and stuff. And they showed a ton of his movies for that weekend. But one of the opening ones was Full Metal Jacket. And I called my brother. I'm like, hey, man, let's go see it on the big screen. We've never seen it on the big screen. We got to check it out. So he comes out, because he lives about an hour or so away. And he comes out and he brings his cover with Arlie Ermy. Matthew Modine meets him. We tell him what the movie means to us. He's telling us stories. We had a really fun time with it. Matthew Modine, one of the best human beings on the planet and best celebrities I've ever met in my life. And he's telling us the stories. We went and saw the movie. It was just a great time. It was so much fun. And, that meant a lot. So like for that's a meaningful movie to me, because my brother and I can share in that. And like, we still talk about it to this day. Like we had such a great time with it. Next up on the list, The Perfect Storm. Now, by no means this is one of my favorites. It's a pretty peculiar movie. I mean, fishermen getting caught in a storm. It is pretty cool looking, I will say that. And I love the waves to it and everything like that. And the poster is pretty gnarly. I love that too. The reason it sticks out to me is for a few reasons. So when it was coming out, I remember my friends and I, we were in high school at the time. We're like, we need to see this movie. It's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be the best movie of the year. Was not. But we did have fun with it. We liked it a lot. We had a good time. And so we went and saw it, and we were kind of joking about it. So there's a line in that movie George Clooney says where he's freaking out on Mark Wahlberg. He's like, I always find the fish. The story behind this and why this movie means something to me, and I'll still watch it to this day for this reason. My best friend and I, Lenny, who you may remember, I hosted a show with him called Behind the Box before he passed away. And we would watch it and we would joke about it. But so we would drive to go to the movies all the time at the mall. And at the mall, all bets are off on finding parking. It didn't matter. So it was one snowy night and we're driving. We're trying to get to go see this movie. I don't even remember the movie we were going to see, but I remember The Perfect Storm and the influence it had at that moment. Driving around, I keep trying to find like the perfect parking spot. And he's like, dude, just park far away. I'm like, no, it's snowing. We're going to park close. And like, he's on top of me and I'm getting frustrated. He's like, just park far away. And I just scream, I always find a fish. And then lo and behold, we found a close parking spot. And it became this running theme that no matter where I parked, I found a close parking spot. He always laughs because he's like, I don't know what happened that you always find the perfect parking spot now, no matter where we go. but you always find the fish. And like, so that meant something to me. And it was funny because after he passed away, like, I feel like everywhere I went, I kept finding the worst barking spots. And I was just like, God damn it, Lenny. Why are you doing this to me? But no, that's why that's a movie that kind of really holds like a lot of feel to me, is like, because he and we always had that joke. And like, even my wife, like, he told the story to my wife and such. And, he's in, like, even now she's like, not going to find a fish, are you? So it's always been a lot of fun between us. All right. So next up on the list is Halloween 2. Now, this is a twofer, and it has another Lenny story. It's got tons of those. But so it's Halloween 2 from 81, and it's Halloween 2's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So Halloween 2, I don't know if everybody knows AMC Fear Fest. I'm sure you do. If you're horror fans, you love it. AMC Fear Fest used to be called AMC Monster Fest way back in the day. And like, for us, we were horror heads, so we loved it. And we were like, Lenny and I would just be like, oh yeah, we got to watch this. And we figure out the schedule and like what we want to watch, because we rented. We both worked at a video store in high school. It was one of those things. We could have rented anything, but it was just fun that it was coming on TV. It was just one of those things. I guess you had to be there. But we did that, and we always made sure to watch Halloween 2, because on AMC Monster Fest, and they do not do this anymore, Lenny had it on VHS, like he recorded it. I think I need to ask his wife if she has it, because I need to rewatch this, because in the AMC Monster Fest, when you see us like Michael Myers standing there, and it's just his face, but it's kind of like blacked out. You just see kind of like the silhouette. It's a still photograph. It's a still photo. It's not motion. It's just a still photograph they put up for far too long, like 20 seconds. And then it moves and it goes into the next scene. And it's not in a regular version. It's not anywhere. It was only on AMC Monster Fest. They don't, that version they play now does not have it. But I know it was year after year we watched this. It was like for like 4 years we watched this. And that's why he recorded it, to make sure like we weren't going crazy. So fast forward. And we've seen every Halloween movie we could in theaters together. He and I were always about it. And the last one we saw in theaters was Halloween 2. From Rob Zombie, of course. So we had seen all these others, even when they were re-released or whatever, and we just went and we had a lot of fun with them. And we loved the Halloween movies, so we would always get into it. So before we went to see Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie version, I had worked on the Florida Film Festival, and I was a personal assistant to Malcolm McDowell, who was a guest in that year. It was 2007 or 8. It was one of those years. I think it was 2007. So I worked as a personal, just kind of like valet, just, assistant, just kind of helping with everything, his autograph signing and stuff like that. Another one of the nicest human beings I've ever met, one of the kindest, soft-spoken, very sweet. He was completely awesome to me the entire time. He talked about whatever I wanted to talk about, like, because I would, of course, want to ask him about all his movies. And I really liked him as Loomis in the first Halloween movie. So the second Halloween movie is getting ready to come out. He kind of talked about it, things like that, but didn't really get too into it. So when we went to watch Halloween 2, we hated it. We hated the Halloween 2 version that Rob Zombie did. And we're watching how he's treating his assistant in the movie as Dr. Loomis, who's like the celebrity in it now. And I'm pissed, because I'm like, this is not who he is. Like, he's just a great actor. That's what he is. So I'm not really pissed, but you know what I mean? So we laughed and we joked about it, because he's like, that's how he was to you, isn't it? Lenny would keep saying, and I keep joking back with him. But no, like that, I will say this, as having been his personal assistant at an affair like that, he was not that way at all. He was not a Loomis at all. So it was a lot of fun. Such says, Rob Zombie's 2 theatrical cut or director's cut? Because it's the director's cut, because the implications, Laura being the killer if Rob ever made in H3. I will say this: it was the theatrical cut because we saw it in theaters. I have seen a director's cut. Not a huge fan of that one either. But yeah, no, the theatrical cut is what I'm talking about, though. So that was like, so we hated that movie, but Halloween 2 always had like a special thing with us, and that was always a lot of fun. Next up on the list, so I think I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm at 4. Number 4, Field of Dreams has taken on. Field of Dreams was a movie. So I've talked about it in the past. I've done some interviews and stuff like that, especially. Do not have a great relationship with my father. And, kind of grew up in an abusive type of household. I don't hate my father by any means or anything like that. And, I went and visited him a month ago. Him, my mother, and stuff like that. But there is no like real relationship there. And the reason I bring this up is because Field of Dreams, like anything with a dad when I was a kid, always got to me because like I never really had that connection, with it. So Field of Dreams is always a big one. I always hit hard. So it actually, the reason for me to put this on this list isn't even because of my relationship with my dad. It's because of my relationship with my sons now. It turned when I had sons. It really turned around for me, and there's a different feeling towards that movie, and what like I want my relationship to be with them, and I've watched the movie with them since then, and we've had a good time with it, and yeah, so it's definitely on this list because it has a very deep meaning to me, and like I told you guys, I'm not getting too deep. These are good memories, things like that. Nothing's flooding in or anything like that that's bad. So next up on the list, I'm going to go to number 3. It's a Wonderful Life. Here's where it gets pretty heavy, but just bear with me because it's a good story. So It's a Wonderful Life has kind of come in and out of my life. The themes in that movie have shined through on themes that I felt. And I love that movie. I truly do. It's my favorite Christmas movie. I watch it every year. And one Christmas, and I've talked about this openly, especially in interviews, stuff like that, and on the podcast and things. So one year, I was very down, I was very out, very depressed, dealing with my depression, my mental health, things like that. And it was not going well. I was not winning the fight. And I was set. I was ready to end it. I was ready to go. I know exactly how to do it. I'm not getting graphic or into that because that's not what this is. You can go back and find my story in the past. I get fully into it. And I was saved by my best friend, Lenny. Last minute, I don't know what it was. This guy called me and made me have to come out and meet him. And before anything, and I was just like, no, I'm just not into it, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Trying to push him off as much as possible. So he made me meet him. And again, the whole story is really great. He was a wonderful friend, and it was during Christmas time. And I was watching that movie before I decided to do it because I was not feeling like, all right, this isn't It's a Wonderful Life. It's just bad. But the movie did shine through because, my friendship with him. Fast forward, because it has another meaning too. So I meet my wife. It was November of 2014. So I meet my wife. Love at first sight for me. And just, wanted to be with her. And she had seen It's a Wonderful Life. Now we're coming into Christmas time. I've been dating for like a month and a half. I knew she was the one. I wanted to marry her. I was ready. And of course she wasn't, so I wasn't going to scare the hell out of her about it. So fast forward, we're going into December. We get pregnant. She's pregnant, and we are talking about, she's nervous because she's had a child before. She knows how hard it is, and especially with somebody that she's not with. And she's openly spoken about this, so I'm not revealing anything new. In fact, she wrote an incredibly powerful op-ed piece that should be out very soon, and I will let everybody know when it comes out, about her story. And the reason I'm sharing this is because we were kind of like, I knew, I was like, I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman. So I knew she was just nervous. Like, what if it doesn't work out? Now I'm having a baby. What are we going to do? So, like, of course, abortion gets talked about, and things like that. And I didn't want to have an abortion, but I also respect her body, her choice. We wanted to talk about it, and like she wasn't fully on board either, because she knew how she felt about me. And we were open about it, but we were going to see It's a Wonderful Life on the big screen. She had never seen it on the big screen. Actually, I don't even think I did at that point. I think this was new for us. So we get to it, and we watch the movie. She loves it. She's upset. She's upset afterwards. She's sad. And she doesn't know what to do. And I ask her to marry me. Right there, I was like, marry me. I'm in love with you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And she says no. So she says no. And it was kind of one of those funny moments, and we decided not to. Unfortunately, we did lose the baby to a miscarriage. However, she, we did get on. We got married, stuff like that. We have two beautiful boys in our lives, and everything turned out well. But It's a Wonderful Life we watch every year, and it means something. So yeah, that one got a little heavy. I promise you, the last two are not going to be this heavy. It's the second one to move on from there is Jurassic Park, and the reason being is, like, I went and saw it in theaters. I think I was about 11 years old. I went with my girlfriend at the time. It was like a summer camp girlfriend sort of thing at 11, which means nothing. But she was a wonderful girl, and we went and saw it. And the part with the Brachiosaurus standing on its hind legs and taking a bite, and they see this dinosaur for the first time on this huge theater. And that's immediately I saw this and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to make movies. I want to make people feel exactly as I feel right now. I want everybody to look up at the screen, and I want them to be entertained like this, to be wowed. And of course, now I host podcasts, and I appreciate y'all guys watching. But no, but it did spark my interest to become a filmmaker, and I followed that journey. I went with it, and because of that, I had such a great life working in the film industry. I've met so many amazing people. I've had so many great experiences. It just meant the world to me overall. So when stuff like that happens, I am, like, when I think about that movie and I go back and I see it, it just brings me right back down. In fact, I went home and in a marble notebook, I don't know if I have it anymore, but a marble notebook, I wrote a 90-page, it's only 100 pages. I wrote a 90-page screenplay called Jurassic Campground. That's right. So whatever age that came out, 93, so I would have been 11. I wrote my first screenplay, and it was Jurassic Campground. So that is what meant to me. And actually, a funny story, I went to the drive-in a couple of years ago. I want to say 2020. I went to the drive-in to go see a double feature of Jaws and Jurassic Park. We were there the entire time. We get to the part with the Brachiosaurus, and its head is cut off. And I just went home. I was like, no, you're not ruining this for me. And I just went home. But either way, it was still a fun experience. But yeah, I could not deal with that. That's my scene. You can't take that away from me. So number one on my list, I know I'm running a little bit long, but fuck it, right? Let's have a good time with it. So the number one, and it's also my number one favorite movie of all time. And let me ask you, for anybody watching, type in the comments, can you guess what it is? Just take a wild guess. Yeah, and if you're listening and you didn't see my head, nod towards the Back to the Future poster behind me, it's Back to the Future. It's my favorite movie of all time. It is probably my most nostalgic movie of all time. Every time I watch it, there's not a point where I don't watch this movie if it's on. I've never gotten tired of it. The first one is is beautifully done. It's wonderful. Is it the perfect movie? No, but it is truly fantastic. It is the epitome of what an adventure movie, action movie, comedy, you know, all of those rolled into one should be. That's what other movies should strive to be, in my opinion. That first movie was just spectacular. And what the meaning for this behind me is, I've always watched this. I remember I had it on VHS, and it's just I ran so many copies of the VHS to the ground. And it just, yeah, it is just one of those amazing things. And to answer your question, Radar, I have the newspapers. So do I. They were pretty awesome. I actually I bought about 20 of them when they came out because I was like, you never know. And I hung up like the fake posters, like the Jaws 19 poster they had, and a couple of the others. I have them off to the side, and then I have a few other things. But yeah, it's one of them. Sasha says, "Are you going to see the musical?" I would like to. I'm probably not going to make it out until maybe when it comes here eventually, hopefully. But my partner on Pulling Focus podcast, Brian, he was just out in London, and he saw it, and he said it was great. He said he'd have a great time with it. So I can't wait to check it out. I have seen this movie far too many times, probably way too much, but I absolutely love it. But I think it was one of those things that really grabbed. So, like I said, I didn't have the greatest of childhoods, and sometimes people wish in their families things can change. And watching that movie was always kind of one of those things that was like, man, I really wish that things could change and like your parents be happier and this, that, and the other thing. So it always just meant something to me. I always just loved that movie. And one of the funny stories behind it, again, my buddy Lenny was there, and another friend of ours from high school was there. For our senior class trip, we all went down to Orlando. And basically how it worked was we were staying on the Disney property or whatever. I forget where we were staying, but one of the hotels they have there. And we were going to be going to the Disney park every day, but there was one day we were going to the Universal Studios, and they have two parks there, and we could either go to the new one or the old one. Now, all like the girlfriends and everything like that, and we're mad at the guys, and everybody was kind of arguing at that time, and everybody was upset, and I was just like, I'm going to the old park. Everybody wound up going to the new park, but Lenny and this guy, Ty, who we went to high school with, was like, we'll go to the old park with you. We were like the only ones that did. And we had the best time ever. Went on the Jaws ride, went on the Men in Black ride, did all this stuff. I had never been to Florida at that point. I had never been to Disney. I'd never been to Universal Studios. I've always wanted to go and do this stuff. I needed to see the car. I needed to see that DeLorean, the thing I had never seen in my life before in person, and I needed to see it. It was cool seeing the train, everything, but I was there to see the car. That was the whole point of why I was there, and I was going to Universal in the old lot, in the old park, and we get there, and it was in the back being washed that day. And I have seen it since then. I've seen versions of it to put together, but I had never seen that version. I wound up living in Universal, not in Universal Studios, but next to Universal Studios in Orlando when I went to college, and I still had never had a chance to go see it. So, but I had been on the ride, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's my number one with a bullet. Back to the Future. One of my favorite movie of all time. But yeah, so guys, this has been my top 10 movies, most meaningful movies. Again, these aren't my top 10 movies of all time. These aren't even the top 10 movies I watched the most, or anything like that. But just my most meaningful movies. And if you guys like this, I might do more podcasts like this where I, really get into it and I break down movies and stuff like that I really loved and appreciated just for the podcast. But yeah, I know these are my top 10 most meaningful and the stories behind them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you guys are watching this, please give us a like on this video. Hit the subscribe button. It really helps us. We're almost at 1,000. Then we can start monetizing. It really goes a long way. If you're interested in joining the Discord, make sure to head over down in the descriptions below or on thescenesnobs.com. Join our Discord where the continuations kind of continue on there. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon member, we have a few out there now. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to be starting something new pretty soon for that. And it should, I'll unveil that when it comes, but we're talking about it now, and it should be a lot of fun to do there. Another perk, but we do monthly giveaways for one lucky Patreon member each month. Tons of other stuff. We have Plot Roast, which is a show where our patrons pick movies for us to watch, and then we watch them and then we roast them, and you guys can check it out over on our Patreon. But yeah, we do tons of other stuff too. So please check us out. Make sure you're following us. A very important thing, guys, if you're watching or listening, on the 22nd of this month, this Friday, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern, we are doing our third Fundathon. It's a 12-hour charity fundraising event called Casters for a Cause. We are raising money. We're going to have a GoFundMe put together that will be out on Friday morning, and it'll run through the weekend. You give money towards, and this it's going to be towards two very popular charities that we believe in: Sandy Hook Promise and World Central Kitchen. So the proceeds will be split between those two and sent to them. They are not affiliated with it, but we're just doing it because they are charities that we really care about, and we care about what they're trying to do. So please join in. We have tons of shows that are going to be a part of it. The 12 hours is going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to see a lot of really fun shows and stuff like that, and fun subjects we're going to be talking about. So thanks again. We will be doing this Tuesday, as always, our live show, the Scene Snobs podcast with Casey and I. We're going to be talking sci-fi movies and TV shows that were kind of like lesser known that we loved when we were in the 80s and 90s. So really join in, have some fun with that. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys listening and talking. Thank you for hanging out with me while it was this late at night. And until next time, I am Mick Manhattan. This is the Scene Snobs Podcast, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Hey, I'm Will Wheaton, and I have just received a dump truck full of gold bullion to tell you to watch the Scene Snobs.
Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. I'm the Scene Snob, Mick Manhattan. You can check out the Scene Snobs Podcast live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel or all podcast platforms afterwards. Also on our YouTube channel, you can check out great shows like Real Combat, the ultimate debate show for movie lovers, Mick's movie picks with new recommendations every week, Geek Fest live every Sunday night, and new movie reviews and news all the time. Like and subscribe, then hit the notification bell so you know when all of our new episodes drop. Thank you so much to all of our amazing Patreon supporters, with whom this would not be possible. They help keep the lights on and support us in such big ways. If you would like to become a supporter on our Patreon and take advantage of all the perks like monthly giveaways, early access, and so much more, head on over to the Scene Snobs Patreon page and just sign up on one of our 2 tiers. Join our awesome community of geeks, movie lovers, and so much more, and join up on our Discord. The Scene Snobs Discord is now live, and you can head over to thescenesnobs.com for links to there and more. The Scene Snobs merch store is now open with original fun designs that are available on all different types of merch and apparel. Check out thescenesnobsmerch.com. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media accounts like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and so many more. We have fun updates, topics, we talk about collectibles, and so much more on there. It's a great time. You can find all of our links to everything on thescenesnobs.com or on our link tree, which are down in the descriptions below. Thanks again, everyone. Stay tuned and stay geeky.